in the yesterday's session, we were talking about the concept of geographies in the system team. As part of that, we have seen how to define the geographies in the system. Now we are going to start the topic of establish enterprise structure in the system team. So I have introduced to you this concept of establish enterprise structure. What is this task about and what we are going to configure in this respective task? Basically, in our core HR module, we have to define all our org structure and the work structure in the system, right? So as part of this establish enterprise structure configuration task team, Oracle given as a provision to define entire org structure, starting from enterprise, divisions, legal entity, business unit, still here, all these things. Along with these things team, we are also having a concept called reference data sets in the system. So along with that 4 organizational information, we can also configure the reference data set in a one single task called establish enterprise structure in the system team. So let us start with the topic of this one team. Let us create our organizational information in the system through this task. And let's see next what we have to do further in this particular task team. So in order to configure this particular task, let me go to our setup and maintenance and let me go to workforce deployment, and I can search here or from anywhere. I can go here and I can also search from here. I can search with a task called establish enterprise structure. The task name is this one team. So this is a task. Let me click on that task. I will be landing upon the configuration screen of the enterprise structure team. Okay. So now, as I was telling you yesterday, team, you can forget about these things as it is a demo instance. Some other people define them. We are not going to concern about them. First of all, how to define this enterprise structure means we should come to this particular screen. Then we have a plus icon available. Click on create, and then team, you can create your enterprise here. What is your enterprise team? My enterprise is Tata Group enterprise. Okay, the structure name I'm giving like this team, Tata Group enterprise. Then you can give the description also same, right? And then click on OK team. The moment you click on OK, you will land upon the configuration screen of this particular task team. Click on OK. Click on OK. And then you can see now the establish enterprise structure configuration team. The very first tab will ask us to configure our enterprise information in the system related to this one. And then next we can see the divisions. After enterprise, we have divisions. And then next we have legal entities. After divisions, we have legal entities where we can define all our legal entities there. And then we have business units, the third and fourth tab, the business units definition under the legal entities. And then team, the concept of reference data set. So along with our organizational information, okay, from enterprise to till business units, we can also configure the concept of RDS in the system in this respective task of establish enterprise structure team. Let us configure here team one by one, and then we will see. So I was telling you yesterday why by default the name Reliance Group came, because in the instance someone in the individual task of enterprise creation, this one, manage enterprise HCM information, already in the application it was defined. That's why the name by default coming. No need of that, just we are renaming it. So my enterprise is Tata Group. Okay, my enterprise is Tata Group. Any short name that I have, I can provide here team. And primary industry, like usually whenever we go for an implementation team, our client's business, when we study the existing business of our client, we will understand there will be some primary industry which our client is focusing, the major business they are doing. They are into automobiles, they are into IT, they are into educational services or real estate, what, which industry. So example, I'm giving information. It is just for info, doesn't have any impact in the system, just for info. And then team, headquartered country. What is headquartered country team? Like where our organization headquarters is. I mean, our client's headquarters is. Let's suppose team, in our case, it is India. So let us choose India, right? And then team, in the very first tab of this respective task of establish enterprise structure, whenever we configuring the enterprise details I have given team, Tata Group, along with the enterprise team, system will ask us to provide one legal entity among all the legal entities that our client is having team. Okay. While we configuring the enterprise, along with the enterprise, we have to configure one legal entity under that enterprise team. Rest of all the legal entities you can define here team. In the second tab of legal entities, when we reach, we can define. But along with the enterprise definition team, one legal entity information system will ask us to create. Basically team, among all the legal entities that our client is having across the countries, there will be one major company team, which we can call it as the top company or the ultimate holding company in your clients. It is a mother group. Under that also team, among all the companies that our client is having, the legal entities that our client is having, there will be one top company. Means what? That is the roots for the other companies to come somewhere in the beginning stages of our customer. What is the first company they started, and what is the biggest company among all the companies that my client is having? Let's suppose team, in our case, let's assume Tata Automobiles team. Okay, basically we assume that Tata Group, among all the companies that they are having, Tata Automobiles is the biggest company, and that is the major company. Rest of all are introduced later point of time. That is the oldest, that is the main company of our client. That company we have to choose in the creation team. Along with the enterprise, in the very first tab, that ultimate holding company or the biggest company of our client, we have to define along with the enterprise team. Rest of all we can define here team. In the next tab, coming tab, all other legal entities we can define over there team. So when we go for an implementation team, we have to get that confirmation from the client. What is the biggest company or what is a major company among all your legal entities that are operating? So that legal entity team, we have to define along with our enterprise in the system team. Okay. So enterprise definition is done here. Enterprise I defined. Now legal information and the legal name. Legal name is nothing but a legal entity name only. And then team, the legal entity identifier, the unique ID that was allocated to that organization team. So whenever the company registered with that respective government team, along with the in India, basically we will get what team? Company registration number, company, I mean CIN number, corporate identity number, tax registration number, TIN number, or we have GST numbers or income tax numbers, ROC number, these details. At the same time, when we are having the bank accounts opened for the organization team, the organization will allocate with the legal entity identifier key, the unique code which is allocated to that particular company. So as part of our requirement gathering team, we will collect all the informations of each of the organization's team, their name, their address, phone numbers, any unique IDs that they have, everything we will collect in. So that unique identifier, whatever is there for that particular legal entity of your client, you have to capture here. As of now, I'm giving some random test data team. In the real time, we have to collect it from the client. And then team, legal entity registration number, ROC number. Like whenever a company registered, you will get the register number for the company by that particular government team. So that registration number. So I'm giving some number like as of now, like this team. This all data we have to collect from the client and we have to configure accordingly team. And then legal reporting unit registration number. This is the TIN number, tax identification number of our legal entity, of our client's legal entity. that you have to capture. And team, whenever you configuring the legal entity, you will be asked to provide the legal address to the legal entity. What is meant by legal address, team? Legal address means the company. Just give me a second here. Okay, the company where it legally registered. Let's say team, whenever you are registering a company, team, you will be registering that company with an address, right? Where it is located. That address information of the legal entity, we will call it as legal address. The legal entity where it legally registered is called as legal address. So whenever you defining the legal entities in the system, team, we have to capture the address of that legal entity, where they are located. So only for legal entity, the concept of legal address will be there, team. For rest of the all enterprise divisions, business units, departments, you will have the concept of locations. Both are one and the same only thing, nothing but the office addresses that we are capturing. But explicitly for the concept of legal entity, Oracle given the address concept as legal address. But for rest of the organizations, Oracle given the concept as locations. Just the naming will different, but the ideology or the concept remains same. Nothing but the address details of that entity we are going to capture, team. So click on the drop down, team. Here only you have the option to create. Click on create, name I'm giving, and here you capture the address details, team, where that particular legal entity is located. As of now, I am giving some test information, team, something like main avenue, okay, then road number 34, okay, something like Lal Street, Mumbai, some pin code I am giving, team, and then state of Maharashtra. Okay, so these all details you should collect from the client team. Exact address details you have to capture of your legal entity. As of now, I'm giving some test data. So click on OK, team. So the legal address taken up here for the legal entity. As of now, what we configured, team? We configured an enterprise and single legal entity under that particular enterprise. As of now, these two informations we configured, team. If you come down, you will be asked some questions, team. See, enterprise configuration requirements. What is that? You have provided enough information to configure a simple enterprise with a single legal entity operating in a single country. You have created a single enterprise with a single legal entity under that operating in a single country. Select an option below. What are those two options available, team? Continue with the interview to set up more legal entities, or complete the setup for a single legal entity in a single country. Let's suppose, team, I got a project, something like my client is not that bigger, this bigger team. I got a project from India, team. There is some organization called, let's say, our company is, let's say, TrioTech Business Solution, or let's say any company you take, some X company is there, team, or let's say Kumar Infra Private Limited. There is one company which they are using Oracle in their organization's team. The company is not a big company. It's having only one legal entity in the country India. It's a very small organization, but even though they are using the Oracle, you got the project over there, team. Let's suppose that company is having presence only in India, and in India also only one legal entity they have, one company they have. Under that company, some 5,000 employees are working. That is the size of your client. There is no multiple legal entities for your client, team. Only one legal entity your client is having. In that case, can I go with this option? Already I defined my enterprise. Then I will define the legal entity. Then I can go with this setup, right? Complete setup for a single legal entity in a single country. If I select this option and if I go further team, when I reach to the second tab of legal entities, system will not give me a provision to add more legal entities. System will understand that I'm done with the configuration of the legal entity. I'm having only one LE in my organizations. So if that is the case, team, you choose this option. Complete setup for a single legal entity in a single country. Then done, team. If at all your client is in that situation, only one legal entity that your client is having, you are going to configure that. Then you can give the enterprise the legal entity and choose this option. But let's say in my case, team, my client is very bigger client. They are having their presence across different countries, and in each country they have multiple legal entities, team. So how to define all these things? In that case, team, have to choose this option. Continue with the interview to set up more legal entities. If I choose this option and if I click on next, when I reach to this particular tab, team, system along with this legal entity will give me a provision to create further more legal entities also. So this option choosing depends upon your client's org structure. Single legal entity, if your client is having, then okay, go with this one. If you have multiple legal entities to define further also, then choose this one. So now I am doing continue with the interview to set up more legal entities, right? And then team, let me go to the next button. The moment I go to next, I will have something called divisions. I have next something called divisions. So after our enterprise, we have the concept called divisions, team. So as I told you, this is an optional concept, team. If you want to create them in the system as part of the hierarchical information, you define it, or else straight away ignore this and jump to the next tab, team. Let us define team quickly. Divisions also. Click on plus icon. Tata Asia division. So that is Asia division. And then country, where it is located, team, in India. To choose the country India. And what is the location? See here, location, where it is located, create it, team. Already see the address. Prior to this one, I created one legal entity, right? That legal entity address is coming up. Let us quickly create the location for Tata Asia, team. So you can give some information, some random information I'm giving, team. Let's say it is located in Hyderabad, 5,85,000, and you can capture the state, other things. They are very self-explorable things only. You can capture later. Click on OK. And then next, US division, Tata US division. This is in the country of United States, right, team? United States. Then you create the location here for that particular thing. Click on create, and then in US division, you can capture all these details, team. Accordingly, whatever our client's address of that particular division is there, you can capture, team. So just mandatory fields I'm giving just to save our time, because they are very basic things to understand. And then Tata Europe division. Europe division. Country is in, let's say, UK, United Kingdom. This is it. Then create the location, team. Okay. Then something I am giving, and then city something I will give. Okay. And then click on OK. This is Europe. And I have one more division in Australia or Middle East, let's say Tata Middle East division. Let's say this is in UAE, United Arab Emirates, let's say. And the location of that division you can define, team. So something I am giving. So country to country, these structural things also will get updated, team, accordingly. Click on OK. And then you can add the location here. So now you define the enterprise, team, first of all. And along with the enterprise, one legal entity under that enterprise you define. And now you are defining the divisions, all the divisions where your client is having. You have the plus icon. If you want to delete, you have. If you want to duplicate the same one with the same thing, select it and duplicate. One more row will get inserted with the same details. You have a couple of options available to handle team. Now enterprise is done. Along with the enterprise, one legal entity I defined and divisions I defined. Next is what? After enterprise and after divisions, we have legal entities. Okay.
Kumar, this is Karuna. Quick question.
Yes,
So
please.
earlier when we were discussing with client, we can at least it was decided that it would be one legal entity. But during the implementation, if they say like if they acquired a company, say in Singapore, can we come and add additional legal entities?
We can add, no problem. But not through this respective task. We have the individual tasks available, right? We can come and we can create at any point of time.
Okay, thank you.
Right. And then team, let me click on next. I will land upon next tab, that is legal entities team. After my enterprise, after my divisions, I have something called legal entities. Now see team, when I come to the second tab of legal entities, I can able to see my legal entity that which I defined on the very first screen along with my enterprise, whatever the legal entity I defined that I could able to see here. And the flag came here, Ultimate Holding Company. It doesn't make any sense. Just for information, Oracle given this concept team. It's not nothing like it is maintaining all other companies. That is a superior one. All are comes under that. That level is not their team. Because we have another concept where we can define the hierarchy within them, like which is coming after which organization, something we have the concept called organization trees, there we define. But here it will show as for the information purpose team, like as a top company and rest things will come. So legal entity tab we are in team. When I came to this tab, you could notice there is something called generate automatically. What is that team? See, prior to this legal entities, I defined the divisions team. Let's suppose my client have under each division one legal entity. In Asia division, I have only one legal entity. In US, I have one legal entity. In Europe, I have one legal entity. In Middle East, also I have one legal entity. If that is the case, team, if I click on generate automatically team, depending upon that country information that we captured, the divisions, whatever we captured, with the same naming conventions, all the legal entities will auto create team. Tata Asia division legal entity, Tata US division legal entity, Tata Europe division legal entity, like that. From the previous information that what we captured, with the same naming convention, the details will get copied here team. But I don't want that one because my client is having couple of legal entities in each of the divisions team. This is what my requirement. So Tata Automobiles already been defined. Rest of the legal entities of my client I have to define here team. Click on plus icon and choose the country here. When you choosing the country, see how many countries are showing up here as such. All the countries are showing up. So whatever available legislations in the system, you can see them team. So what is that you have in India? Let's say that is also India. And then team, what is that legal entity? TCS India Private Limited. The next legal entity is. Now here you can map team. That main legal entity will not be part of any division team. Rest of all the legal entities, you can map them under divisions. So under which division team? Asia division. And the same information what we captured. Legal entity identifier, registration number, tax registration number, and the address of that legal entity. For every legal entity, these all informations we have to capture. So I will give some random numbers as such in the system team and the legal address team. So currently in this environment, prior to this in the country India, two addresses we defined. One is for Tata Automobiles, one is for Tata Asia division. That's why these two are coming team. So if you want to use any existing addresses of another companies to this also you can use, or else you can create a separate address here team. Something I'm defining here. So this is located in, let's say, Bangalore. Okay. Then pin code I'm giving something. And we can give the state, everything, other details team if you want. So here you can see that Tata TCS India Private Limited address is this one team. And next, we have one more legal entity in India, that is Tata Motors Private Limited. Choose the country, India, then Tata Motors Private Limited, Asia division, and these legal informations of that particular company, we have to capture team. So legal address, we know how to create team. To save our time in the current session, I will use the existing addresses team. I can also use, let's suppose TCS India and Tata Motors are located in same building. Yeah, it's possible, right? My client having two companies, they're operating in the same building, office building. So let us use the same address as of now. Whatever we create for TCS India address, for Tata Motors also I'm adding team. We can create it if it is a different address, but just to save the time, I'm using it. And then team in United States now. What are the legal entities that I have in United States? I have something like TCS US Private Limited, US division. Okay. And the address of the division that which we define, that I will use here team. And then we have something like Tata Power Private Limited. This is also in United States. All the legal entities team, whatever that our client is having, we can define at one shot in this respective task like this team, that respective address where it is. And Tata Steels we have, that is also in US. Okay, this is in US division. I'm using the same address for everything. It doesn't hamper anything. Just we can go ahead. And then it is in UK team. Let's say it is in United Kingdom. In Europe division. That is Europe. And then one more, we have something called Tata Textiles. So list out all the legal entities in the system here team. And then team, and then team. Let us create one more in Middle East and we can close it. This is in UAE, United Arab Emirates. Not in Ukraine, in Arab Emirates. In Middle East division. And let's go with that particular location team. So what else what are the things that we created team so far? We defined the enterprise, we defined the divisions, and we defined the legal entities under that particular divisions team. Next, after legal entities, what we have team? We have something called business units in the system under the legal entities. So enterprise in the preliminary tab we defined, divisions we configured. Now we are on the second tab, that is legal entities. Okay, these things we have defined. And now if I go to the next team, I will land upon business units team. So when you're creating a business unit, you have 3 and 4 tab here team, third and fourth. Let's go to the third tab. What it is asking C team, create business units. Automatically generate the business unit, and the business unit level choosing is legal entity. Okay. And there is some other thing called manually create the business units team. What is this option? See, these are all the legal entities across different countries we defined as of now in the system. When I went for an implementation team, my client told me that, Kumar, I don't have any further classification in my companies. As a company I'm operating, in my company I have departments basically. That's how we segregate our business for the employees team. But you are telling there's a concept in the Fusion system called business units between legal entity and department, because that they are mandatory, because all the work structures are mapped to the business units you are telling. So let us have every legal entity also as a business unit. I told you, right? At least one business unit for a legal entity is mandatory. So my client is telling, let's have every legal entity also as a business unit. Ideally, we are not having BU concept. But as in the Fusion system, BUs are mandatory. Let us create the legal entity also as a business unit in the system team. So if that is the case, if you want to use the same legal entities naming convention to create as a business unit team, go with automatically generate the BUs. Scope by default will come as legal entity. Select all you have, or if you want only one or two, you can select individually. If you want, you can select all. all legal entities selected here team. I'm choosing automatic. The moment I click on next button, we will land upon fourth tab, and there you can see each legal entity by default will also create as a business unit in the system team. See now, I will click on next button. See, we landed upon the fourth tab, that is business units team, and you could able to see here. These all are the legal entities and the business units. Just the naming convention you observe team. TCS US Private Limited at the end suffixing with BU. TCS Power Private Limited at the end BU. Tata Steels Private Limited, the same name at the end BU. Then the codes automatically it will generate the mapping, because this legal entity we created in this location in this country, the same countries, locations, everything will be synchronized from the legal entity level team. So if you go with automatic option, it will take the source of truth as legal entity name just at the end with the two characters BU. This is the legal entity and this is the business unit. With the same name, ideally, the business units also will get defined team. But let's suppose your client is very particular in the business unit, something like they have the operating units concept in their business team. Under each legal entity, they are having multiple business units like that. Then you don't need to go with that automatic option team. Go back, you will end up on the third tab, deselect all, everything will get deselect. Now go to manually create the business units. Click on OK. Now everything will get lapsed. Now if you go to the next button team, in the system as a consultant, you will have a provision to define all your clients' business units in the system team. Now if you click
Kumar,
on next.
1 minute.
Yes, please.
Kumar, in the thing when we are defining the legal entity, there we didn't mention whether it is a legal employer or a payroll statutory unit.
Correct.
So while creating like this, how we will identify whether it is a legal employer or
That's what
PSU?
I'm telling. Though we create all our organizations through this task, only minimal information we will capture here. Again, we have to come across the individual tasks of them and we have to provide all those information. I'm defining a legal entity here. Only basic information I captured. Again, I should come to the individual task, search that one, what I created, edit it, then capture whether it is a legal employer or a PSU, further more information, everything. Okay. Yeah. So now I came to the fourth tab team. Then I have a provision to create the business units manually. So here you list out what are all the BUs that your client is having under each legal entities team. So business units, the code I am giving something like a BU1, TCS North BU. The country is in India and the location is what, let's say I'm using the existing legal entities location only team, and then TCS South BU. Okay, country is in India and location and why only these countries are showing? Because prior to these business units, when we define our legal entities or divisions, only in these countries in the system we have that information team. So only that particular countries will show up. And then Tata Motors Manufacturing, BU3, that is also part of India. Then I will use some other location of Tata Automobiles something. Then Tata Motors we have BU4. Like all the business units across the legal entities we have to define. Now you might get a question, Kumar, where we are assigning that this TCS South BU or TCS North BU is part of TCS India Private Limited and these business units are part of Tata Automobiles. I have never mapped anywhere. See, how come the relation between the legal entity and business units you are setting up in the system? An important interview question also, team. Where you will assign the business unit to legal entity. Basically, team, business units are global in nature. I mean, by default, you cannot assign the business units under any legal entities team. It's an organizational understanding of the client. Business units, when you define team, they are global in nature. RDS concept is for only work structures, not for between LE and BU. For work structures and BU, we have. Business units are basically by default global in nature team. Means whenever we creating a BU, we never map anywhere to the legal entities. So I can use the business units as a common things across all the business units. But how it will get restricted means with the respective to the roles that you are assigning to the employee, we will handle this restriction. But later on, in the recent releases of 22B, we are currently in 22C release team in the latest version of this year, third quarter. But from the second quarter, 22B onwards, Oracle given us a provision to map the business units with the legal entities. Very latest advanced feature that came in team, but not directly from here team. We have a concept called extensible flex fields, EFF, we will call them as. So when we define the legal entity in the system in the front end through this individual task of legal entity I'm talking about, on that particular screens, we can enable the business unit section over there and we can map which business unit is part of which legal entity, their team. But ideally, in the organization front, when we're configuring in the system, we don't have such option to map the business units with the legal entity. It's the understanding of the client that which business units are part of which legal entity, and that can be achievable through the security level restriction that the roles we are assigning to the user team. Means if an employee related to Tata Automobiles working in the system, he will have access to only this business units. That restriction we will handle through the security. But by default in the structure level or when we configuring the legal entities or BU, we never map which is coming under which. They are open for every legal entity if you talk about like that. Okay. So Tata Motors distribution I defined, and next we will go with some other thing called Tata Motors sales BU. So I'm defining this also in India, and the address of Tata Automobiles I'm giving team. And then let us define some other BUs here also. TCS IT BU. Okay, this is in United States, and let's say I will give some location over there, and then I will define development BU. Like this, you define all the business units across all the legal entities that we have in the system team in this respective task of business units. Okay, so furthermore, if you want also, you can define in the same way team. Just I'm stopping here because the same way in a number of things if we define also the same way, plus icon and addition of those details team. So what are the things that we defined till now team? Enterprise we defined, divisions we defined, legal entities we defined, business units under them we defined till here, from enterprise to till business units. Basically, in this task, Oracle also given a provision to define the concept of reference data sets and allocation of that RDS to the business units team. But we will not talk this concept right now. They are too far to discuss, but not too far to discuss. Probably in the next coming sessions, when we talking the enterprise HCM information task, here I will let you know what is the concept of RDS team. But basically, if you are configuring your organization structure in this task, you should be in a position of having all the requirement very clearly understandable team. Like what is your client's organization structure and what is your client's work structure? In which business unit, which data should become? How many reference data sets that are required in my business? If all these informations, if you are pretty much clear team, then you go with this respective task, configure all the organizations and also reference data sets of that team. So RDS concept, once I discuss that one, you can correlate team. Like this concept is also coming here like that. But let us discuss this topic. It will take 1.5 hour discussion close to understand that concept detailedly, that we can take up at later point of time, probably in the next session or after coming sessions team. So in this respective task, we have configured all these things team. Let me click on next. I won't touch these things. By default, these things came. What are those? I will tell you later. Click on next. And here for all the business units team, by default, I will assign the common set. What is common set also, you will understand once I complete the topic of reference data set team. Just to complete that task, as it is a mandatory column, I'm giving this things team. Click on next. For this also, whatever the locations we define in the system, by default, I'm giving common, common, common. Okay, right. Now you click on next team. Here you can see the review results. Means what team? Till now, whatever the data that you configured in this respective task, enterprise, divisions, legal entities, business unit, if any reference data sets you define, everything that you can see in the review results team. See here, enterprise name is what? Tata Group. That is what my enterprise. That is what my enterprise, Tata Group. And then under this, we have divisions. All my divisions, what I define: Asia, Europe, US, Middle East, everything. Under that, all the legal entities that I defined in the system. Under that, all the business units that are defined in the system. Under that, reference data sets. This topic we have not discussed, but if any custom RDS you define, that list also you can see here. So everything you can see here in the review results team. And if you go to manage reporting structure, the pictographical representation of this data also you can see in the tabular form, not in tabular form, let's say in a graphical way. You can see here team, kind of what I have to say, like this. You can see that the ultimate holding company coming at the top, Tata Automobiles, and then all the divisions under that: Middle East, Europe, US, Asia. And if I expand that one team, all the legal entities under that, like under this Asia division, I have defined 2 legal entities. Under US division, I defined 3 legal entities: Tata Power, Tata Steel, Tata US. Then under Tata Europe division, I have defined 2 legal entities. Under Middle East division, I defined 1 legal entity, CT. The diagrammatical representation of my organizations also I could able to see team. So this is the reason why we have this task in place team, where I can present to my client in the system. This is what going to be your structure. By looking at the interview results, I can show you. This is what your enterprise, these are your divisions, these are your legal entities, these are your business units. I can present it to the client very clearly in a one single area in the system team. So that is the reason why Oracle given a task called establish enterprise structure, a single place where I can define entire organizational information in the system team, and we can present it over the client during the time of implementation team. Now client will let us know, no Kumar, this is not a business unit, this is also a legal entity. Or they can tell, no, this is not a legal entity, this is a part of a legal business unit under the Tata Steels Private Limited. So can you re-amend that? So you can define multiple structures in the system team till the time client said, or client gives the sign off to this one. If client says, yes, this is what my structure 100% is correct. Till that time, you have a scope to define multiple structures team. Creating a structure will not have any impact in the system. Just at the task level only, they will hold in the system team. After creating the structure, we have to load the structure in the system team. Until and unless you load the structure, it won't have any impact in the system. What we have to do? We have to load the structure. Until and unless you load the structure, you can create as many structures you want. Just at the task level, they will hang in the system. But whatever the finalized structure is there, that one we will load into the system. Once we load, then all the enterprise divisions, legal entities, business units will get created in the application team. Now I created a structure. Just I will click on save and close. It doesn't mean I completed the configurations team. See, the status is what? Not loaded. Means only at this task level, they are hanging in the system. They are not saved into the database. The organizational information will not get created team. Now I created here, right? Now what I will do team, I will go to the individual task team. Let's say I will go to a task called legal entity. For searching the existing legal entities in the system that you configured, or if you want to create a new legal entity individually, you can go to this task team. Now what I will do is, I will go to setup and maintenance, and I will try to search whatever that we configured in this task, our legal entities. If anything that I could able to see or not, let's see team. If I go to deployment, search with a legal entity, that is a task called manage legal entity. So here I will come. If I want to search existing ones, click on select and add. We'll talk about these things detailedly, what is scope, everything. So currently I can see team, what are all the existing legal entities that are available in the system. Now I will expand team. Now I will search anything related to TCS. Anything is coming TCS, I defined, no? TCS India Private Limited I configured, TCS US Private Limited I configured. Okay. I will search with Tata Automobiles. Why? No Tata Automobiles. Anything with Tata? Someone created Tata Motors Group. It's not me, somewhere in Kuwait. Okay, that is some other configuration. But whatever the legal entities I defined so far, or whatever the enterprise I defined, or whatever the divisions I defined, or business units I defined, I couldn't able to find them in the system. Means what team? They were just saved and hanging in this task level of established enterprise structure team. So once you configure the task of established enterprise structure, once we demonstrate to the client, like this is what your structure is going to be. Now I have defined team, client given me some suggestions team. So if I want, I can correct in the existing one only, or else team, I can create a new structure. I can make a copy of this. I won't touch this one because I want a auditing purpose also, like whatever the things we done. So I can create one more structure team with all the accurate information of the client, like enterprise, divisions, legal entities, business units, reference data sets, everything properly I defined. Now client said that, yes, this is what our organizational information to be there in the system. Once it is okay team, then whatever the structure you created, click on that one team. You have something here called load enterprise configuration. In demo instances, we have a restriction team. By default, Oracle will give that one, will not allow to load, but let us try. If it allows, it's good, or else it's not any mistake from our side, it's an issue with the application team. So click on OK. See that we know that basically for every batch we will encounter this issue with the demo instance. But in the real time, in your client's application team, you won't find this issue because there was a restriction that set up in those demos to not to load because multiple people will be working on the application. That's why team. But in the real time, whenever you are working in your project team, the same way how I defined the enterprise, starting from enterprise to till the reference data set information, all the things you define team, then you come to load enterprise configuration, click on go to task and click on OK team. That's it. The status will change to loaded. And once you go to the system and once you go to the individual tasks of legal entity or divisions or enterprise locations or business units or RDS, in any of these individual tasks you go, you can see that data available over there team. When you go to legal entities and you search, all the legal entities that you have loaded will come over there. Whenever you go to the enterprise HCM information task, whatever the enterprise that you have loaded through this task, you can see here team. So take the process how to follow team, create the structure, and once the client says that the structure is fine and this is what going to be, then load the structure into the system team. Once it is loaded, only the data will be available in the system. Now you can ask me a question, Kumar, is it mandatory step that I have to create and I have to load it? It's not mandatory thing team. If you want to straight away start your configurations from this individual tasks of them, you can team. You want to define an enterprise, go to enterprise HCM information, then you start create that, go to locations, create the locations, go to divisions, define the divisions, legal entities, everything. But here why Oracle given is this, it's a kind of a task where it will help us also to demonstrate to the client, like this is how the structure is going to be, something like that. So if I, this is not mine, sorry. This is the one. So something if I go team. So I can show to the clients at one place all the things that are available to the customer, so that once we go to the interview results, they can have a better understanding to the things that have been configured team. I cannot show them like this, right? I cannot show them in the Excel, like this is your enterprise, this is your divisions. Something if in the system there is an availability where we can show entire organizational details at one place, it will be benefitable to the customer also to understand. So this is one thing that which you can present it to them. And after that structure creation, you load it into the system team. Now again, while I'm creating the organizational details to this concept of established enterprise structure team, when I'm defining an enterprise, what I configured, just name, short name, primary industry, headquartered country. Only these information I captured. Or else, when I'm creating the legal entities also team, what I define team, just a legal entity name, which country that is part of, what is the legal entity identifier, registration, tax number, and address. Only these details I captured. Same goes with business unit. When I'm creating the BU also team, what I configured, only the BU, country, location. But at each of these levels team, we have a lot more information that which we have to configure. Example, I will show you team. In the another tab, I will go to the task called Manage Enterprise HCM information. In order to configure the enterprise in the system, or if you want to do any updations to the enterprise or anything, we have a task available called Enterprise HCM information team. So if I go to this task team, see at the enterprise level, how much data I have to configure, means what are all the information that I have to capture at the enterprise level. You see team, I came to this enterprise task. So I have to configure this workday information, enterprise information. In this, I have lot many things: worker number generation, person number generation, duplication checks, employment model opting, currency, user, global payroll. See how many things: position synchronization, incumbent validation. But did we configure all these things when we defining the enterprise here team? No, only the name, short name, primary industry, and we complete. So when you configuring the organizations through this respective task also team, only basic info of that organizations we will capture team. You created everything in this task, you loaded them. Even then team, you have to come across the individual setups of them. Now I created the structure, let's say I loaded. Then when I come to manage enterprise HCM information task team, by default, I will see my enterprise name as Tata Group. But I have to come, edit, I have to correct, and I have to capture all these information at my enterprise level. How I am able to see Reliance Group now? If I loaded my structure in the system team here, when I come to this individual task of enterprise, by default, I will see the enterprise name as Tata Group. When I come to divisions, I can see all the divisions that I have loaded into the system here. I can go to divisions, search that existing one I have loaded, edit them, and I have to capture further information. Same goes with legal entity. When I go to manage legal entity team, if I would have loaded this one, all my 10 or 12 legal entities, I can search and I can find them here too. Then again, I have to edit them and I have to correct and provide all the details over there. Same goes with business unit team. Means what team? Here, only the name of that organization and the basic info of that organization we are capturing team. But even then, if you load the structure and all the organizations are created in the system, again, in an implementation, you have to go across all the individual setups of those and you can define. And someone asking me a question, Kumar, you loaded the structure, but now my client telling that we acquired some other company and I want to create more legal entities, or some other existing business units I don't want to further operate. I'm ending the business over there. Or some other new business units I'm going to introduce in my legal entities. I'm further bifurcating my business for operational purpose. So do I have the provision to add them in future? At any point of time, we have the provision team. Go to the respective individual setup tasks of them, create them, and we can start use them in the system. Any existing organizations, if you are shutting down the operations team, you have the option to end date them or inactivate them in the system also team. So either of the ways we can handle them. So we have the individual setup tasks available for them to configure team. At the same time, we have also a one single task where you can define and you can load it into the system team. Okay. So you want to go with this concept, load it, and again go to individual setups, edit them, and configure the rest of the information. Or if you want to straight away skip this one and start your configurations from here, it's up to the your usability in the system team, your convenience in the system team. But Oracle given this facility or a functionality where you can configure everything at one place and you can present it over to the client team so that they will understand what is going to be the solution that you are configuring in the system. So we have the structure concept for that particular purpose. You can define multiple structures, but one structure only you can load finally into the system. Take it as granted. Enterprise structures, you can define multiple. C3 I defined. More if I want, I can define. Whatever the final version that client says, okay, this data is correct. That structure you can load it. Rest of all, you can delete them in the system team at later point of time. So this is about structural things. And you might ask me a question. Kumar, there is something called rollback. If I load it, can I roll back the structure? My data will get reversed. In the initial implementation time, yes. Means what thing? Now I created Tata Group enterprise structure. In that, I defined all the organization information. I defined my enterprise, I defined my divisions, legal entities, business units, reference data sets, everything I defined. I loaded, let's say. But immediately I came to know that some other business units I missed configuring them. Some other legal entities I missed. You can go individually and you can define, let's say. But I want them to be defined in the same structure. Then you roll back what you loaded in the system team. Now, anyhow, it is not loaded. I cannot roll back anything. If at all the structure is loaded, then I can roll back that particular structure what I loaded. But team, in the system, if there is no data related to that organization, means what? You loaded the structure team, and in the system, in the front end, HR hired one of the employee in one of the legal entity. If you are trying to roll back, system will not allow because there is already utilization of that organizations. Employees' data already mapped to that organizations. In that case, this rollback option will not work. This concept will work only in the initial implementation time. Just you created them, loaded, there is no employee data in the system available associated with those organizations, then you can roll back team. And you can correct them or add the new things and you can reload the structure again. But once the data is there in the system, employees being hired in those organizations, you cannot roll back the structure. You have to rely upon individual tasks of them and you can update or add or whatever you want to perform, you can do. So this is about the concept of establish enterprise structure in the system team. So create them, load them, and again go to the individual setups and define, or else straight away ignore them, ignore it, and start creating your setups directly. Enterprise you define, divisions you define, legal entity you define. I don't say that it is useless. We have the usability also, but it's up to the situation that your client and you are discussing and what you are agreeing upon, basically in every implementation. Okay. So any questions as such in this topic of